Warahmatullahi Wabarakatuh, Math, grade 6. Today we are in chapter 9, lesson 3. We want to learn how to find the area of trapezoid. How to find the area of trapezoid. طيب. Listen with me to this video to know how to find the area of trapezoid.
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Welcome to Anywhere Math. I'm Jeff Jacobson, and today we're going to talk about how to find the areas of trapezoids. Let's get started. All right, today we're talking about how to find the areas of trapezoids. Now, as a refresher, trapezoids are quadrilaterals, which means they have 4 sides, and they have exactly one pair of parallel sides. That's really important. Now, before I show you what the formula is for how to find the area of a trapezoid, let's look at where the formula comes from. Okay, let's talk about where the formula for the area of a trapezoid came from, because that's really important to know where it came from. These formulas don't just appear out of thin air. There's a reason behind it, and if you understand where it came from, it gives you a deeper understanding of how to find it, and hopefully you're not just concentrated on memorizing the formula, because memorizing stuff isn't any fun. It's much more interesting to know where it came from. So here is my trapezoid. It's got 4 sides. It's a quadrilateral, like I said earlier, and it has exactly one pair of parallel sides. These little arrows here mean that this side and this side are parallel with each other. So now let's label. Your parallel sides, you're always going to call those bases, and it doesn't matter which one you label which, but this top one, I'm going to call that B1 for base number 1, and this bottom for base number 2. Remember, your bases are always going to be those parallel sides. So it doesn't matter if this is flipped up or rotated over. Wherever your parallel sides are, those are going to be your bases. And I could call this B2 and this one B1. It doesn't really matter. Then the distance between your bases right here is going to be your height. Okay, and same thing, even if it's kind of rotated a little bit and might not look like a typical height, the distance between your parallel sides will be your height. Okay, so look for that. And it's always going to be, your height is always going to be perpendicular, right? That's what that means to your bases. Now that we have my trapezoid kind of labeled, let's look at where the formula came from. If I draw a little line here from the midpoint on this side all the way up to here and cut this little piece off and rotate it, and then slide it down, well, now I've made one big triangle, okay? And notice the area didn't change. I still have the same amount of red, right? I just cut a little piece off and moved it. That's all I did, rotated it and then moved it down. So the area hasn't changed from my original trapezoid. So now it's just a triangle. And to find the area of a triangle, we know it's just base times height divided by 2. Well, what is my base? Well, my base is just going to be my original B1 plus my original B2. If I add those together, that will be the base of this triangle. The height is still this height, okay? So to find the area of this triangle, I would do B1 plus B2 times the height, and then divide all of that by 2 because it's a triangle. So with that in mind, here are the formulas for area of a trapezoid. You can either think of it this way, right? B1 plus B2 times that by the height and then 1/2 of that. Or you can think of it as this way. Again, B1 plus B2 in parentheses, do that first, times your height and then divide all that by 2. They're the same formulas, just written different ways. So whichever one you're more comfortable with, kind of concentrate on that. Lastly, if you're wondering, well, does that work for any trapezoid? Yes, it will. Obviously, I'm not going to show you all different trapezoids, but yes, believe me, it would work for any trapezoid. Okay, example 1. Find the area of this trapezoid. So, if you remember, what we just found was the formula for area of a trapezoid. Area of a trapezoid was the height of the trapezoid times B1, whatever the first base, plus B2, the other base, and all of that divided by 2, okay? So let's look at our trapezoid. It's pretty simple. All we have to do is just start substituting my height and my bases in here, then simplify, okay? So my height was, if I look, my height was 6 feet. So I'm going to put that there. B1, it doesn't really matter which base you choose for B1 and which one you choose for B2. Just remember your bases have to be those sides that are parallel to each other. Trapezoid has exactly one pair of parallel sides. So I look for those parallel lines. So let's say my B1 is 5 plus B2 then would be 9. All of that divided by 2, okay? So I'm going to do everything in the numerator first, and then I'm going to simplify. Now here, I could do distributive property, but I can simplify these in the parentheses, so that becomes 6 plus 14 over 2. And also, if you're comfortable with this, I could simplify here too. I can say this becomes 1, this becomes 3. So now it's just 3 times 14, which is 42. And now never forget your units. These were in feet and it's area. So my units are feet squared, 42 feet squared. Okay. If you didn't want to simplify here, you could have done 6 times 14 and then divided by 2, and you would have gotten 42 as well. Okay, let's try another example. Okay, example 2. Again, find the area of the trapezoid. We're going to use the same formula. But this time, if you notice, this trapezoid is looking a little bit different. It's kind of on its side. Now, you've got to be careful when you see trapezoids like this. You have to identify what the bases are. And the bases might not necessarily be on the bottom. That's okay. Just remember your bases have to be parallel to each other. Okay? So if I look here, those sides that are parallel to each other are here on the left side and then on the right side. Those are parallel, which means those are my bases. So I'm going to leave the H for a second, and let's say B1 then is 8 millimeters plus B2 then would be 4 millimeters. Okay. Now that we have that, our bases, we got to look for the height. The height is always going to be perpendicular to the bases, right? It's going to form a right angle. So if you look here, the height then is this 5 millimeters. Okay, that's got to be my height. So it's a little different when they start kind of rotating the trapezoids. They're trying to trick you a little bit. Just be careful. Look for those parallel bases and then a perpendicular height. Okay, and then all of that, don't forget, divide by 2. Okay, so now my area, well, 5 times 12 divided by 2. Again, I can simplify if I want, but maybe I'll do it the other way just so you guys can see. 5 times 12 gives me 60, divided by 2 is 30. Don't forget your units. This is in millimeters squared because it's area. Okay? Here's some to try on your own.
Okay. What is the name of our lesson today?
Area of trapezoid.
Area of trapezoid.
Great.
Area of trapezoid.
Area of trapezoid. Yes.
Area of trapezoid.
Okay. What we want to learn today, find the area of trapezoid. This is trapezoid as you see. Trapezoid is a polygon, has 4 sides. Right. See with me now this video.
مستر ما أشوف الفيديو.
Okay.
And the first thing that we have to do is identify what the lengths are of the two bases. And after we find the length of those two bases, we have to add them together. Now, the two bases of any trapezoid are referred to as B sub 1 and B sub 2. And these two bases are the two sides of the trapezoid that are parallel to each other. So if those two bases were to keep extending into space, they would never intersect, and that is what makes those parallel. So we refer to those two bases as B sub 1 and B sub 2. And the first thing that we have to do is add those values together. Now, after we add those two values together, what we do is divide that total by 2. And after we take that total and divide by 2, we multiply by the height of the trapezoid, which is the distance that the two parallel lines are from each other. Okay, now let's figure out what the actual length is of B sub 1 and of B sub 2 so we can add those two values together.
Mister.
B sub 1 has a length of 8. Now, if you ever have a shape that is on top of a graph or a grid.
Yes.
Mister, we can do like at first plus base 1 with base 2, then multiply it with h, then divide it by 2?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Like this, make sure that you do not count the squares on the inside of the shape to count the length of the line, because remember, the length of anything is one-dimensional, so we actually do not want to use the square units to measure the length of the line. You have to treat the line as if it were a number line, and where you begin is at 0. So from here to here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the length of the bottom base is a distance of 8. Okay, now let's determine the length of the top base. The length of the top base is equal to 4. So we're going to go ahead and substitute B sub 2 with the number 4. Next, let's determine what the height of this trapezoid is. So from the bottom to the top, this side has a distance of 4. So let's go ahead and substitute h with the value of 4. All right, now we have all of the values necessary to figure out what the area is of this right trapezoid. So the first thing that we're going to do is add these two bases together, and that gives us a total of 12. And we have to take that total and divide it by 2. And then we take that result and multiply by 4. And 12 divided by 2 is 6, and 6 times 4 is equal to 24. So the area of this right trapezoid is 24 square units. Now let's take a bit of a closer look at where our equation is actually derived from. Let's look at the first part of our equation. Now the reason that we take the two bases and add them together and divide by 2 is because we are really trying to find the average of those two bases. In fact, after adding those two bases and dividing by 2, the results you get, in this case 6, will tell you what value is right in the middle of the two bases. So 6 is right in the middle of 4 and 8. Now, what that is actually doing is it is forcing those two numbers to be 6. Well, why is it important that we find the middle of 4 and 8? Well, basically what we're doing is we're pretending that these two bases are the same length. For example, let's take this base of 4 here and extend it to be 2 longer, which would make 6. And then this base, which is 8, we're going to make it 2 shorter, so it is a length of 6 as well. And if we were to take this base and make it longer, and this base and make it shorter to be the same length, 6 is right in the middle of those two values. And what happens is it forces this trapezoid to take on the form of a rectangle. And notice how this little piece of our trapezoid would fit perfectly into this piece right here. So by adding 8 and 4 and then dividing by 2, what we did is we effectively turned this trapezoid into a rectangle. So we're kind of pretending that this 8 is a 6, and this 4 right here is a 6. So what we really have is a rectangle that is a 4 by 6 rectangle, which is an area of 24 square units. So remember, when finding the area of any trapezoid, we have to take the two bases, add them together, and divide by 2, which is really finding the average length of those two bases. And then we take that result and multiply by the height of the trapezoid.
So this is the idea to find the area of trapezoid. Right. What's the meaning of trapezoid? Trapezoid is a polygon, has 4 sides and has 2 opposite sides are parallel. See this figure? This is trapezoid. As you see here, we have 4 sides. 4 sides. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. So trapezoid is a quadrilateral because it has 4 sides. The opposite sides here are parallel. The opposite sides here are parallel. So just has 2 opposite sides are parallel. As you see here we have a small base. We named P1. We named P1. And as you see here, we have a big or a large base. We named B2. And as you see here, we have a height. The height is the line between the corner and the opposite side. And the height is perpendicular with the opposite side. And this angle will be 90 degrees. This is the meaning of the height. We named the height H. So now we have small base B1, big base B2, and we have.
So شو قانون الاريا؟
Okay. Now, how to solve the area of the trapezoid? The name of area will be A, the symbol A, capital letter. So the area is 1/2 the product of the height H and the sum of the base P1, the bases P1 and P2. So I can write the formula now. The area A equal 1/2 multiply by the height, multiply between parentheses base 1 plus base 2. This is the formula. This is the formula. For example, find the area of trapezoid. We have this trapezoid. As you see here, we have the small base here will be 3 inch and the big base will be 5 inch. And here we have the height. Here we have the height equal 8. How to find this area? The first step, write the formula. Write the formula. A equal 1/2 H multiply between parentheses P1 plus P2. Then substitute the values. Here we have A, we want to solve the area. Here we have 1/2 multiply by the value of the H. The value of the H here, 8. So put here 8. Then inside parentheses here we have P1. Small base will be 3, put here 3. The second base will be 5, put here 5. Now, I can do this operation here between 8 and half. 8 multiplied by 1 will be 8/2. And here between parentheses, we have add 3 plus 5. 3 plus 5 will be what? Will be 8. Now 8 divided by 2, 8 divided by 2 will be 4. Now we have 4 times 8. 4 times 8 will be 32. And the unit here, inch squared. Always remember, we measure the area, any area, by squared unit. By squared unit. I will repeat. As you see, we have here small base equal 3 and the big base equal 5. And here we have the height equal 8. The first step start from the formula. A equal 1/2 multiplied by the height, multiply by between parentheses P1 plus P2. Then substitute, put the value of the variables. So I want to find the area A equal 1 over 2 multiplied by the value of the H will be 8. So put here 8 multiplied by between parentheses. The value of B1 will be 3. Put here 3. Then the value of the B2 will be 5. So put here 5. Now we have this operations here. I can start from the two numbers here. The first two numbers here. 8 multiplied by 1 half. 8 multiplied by 1 over 2. 8 multiplied by 1 will be 8. So I can write 8 over 2. And here between parentheses we have 3 plus 5. 3 plus 5 will be what? Will be 8. Then here we have 8 divided by 2 multiplied by 8. 8 divided by 2 will be 4 multiplied by 8. Now 4 multiplied by 8 will be what? Will be 32. And the unit inch squared. The unit inch squared. Example 2. Find the area of trapezoid. This trapezoid, as you see here, we have the small base equal 4 meter, and here we have the big base equal 16 meter, and here we have the height. Here we have the height. Now to find the area, write the formula. A equal 1 over 2 multiplied by the height multiplied by the sum of the two pieces, B1 plus B2. Then substitute the values. We want to solve the area, so write here A equal 1 over 2 multiplied by the value of the H. The value of the H here, as you see, 6. So put here 6. Then between parentheses here we have base 1. The value of the base 1 will be what? Will be 4. So write here 4 plus the value of B2 will be what? Will be 16. So write here 16. Here we have many operations. I can start from the first two numbers here. I can start from 6 times half. 6 times 1 will be 6 over 2. Then between parentheses, we have 4 plus 16. 4 plus 16 will be 20. Now, 6 divided by 2 equal 3. Now, I have 3 times 20. 3 times 20. 3 times 20 will be what? Will be 60. And the unit here, meter squared. Meter squared. Lesson 3, example 3, sorry. Find the area of the trapezoid. This is trapezoid here. Here we have the small base, and here we have the large base, and here we have the height. So B1 equal 5, B2 equal 13, and the height equal 10. Start from the formula. A equal 1 over 2 multiplied by the height multiplied by the sum of the pieces here, B1 plus B2. Then substitute. We want to solve the area. A equal 1 over 2 multiplied by the value of the height will be 10. So write here 10. Multiplied by between parentheses the value of P1 will be 5. So write here 5. Then plus the value of P2 will be 13. Put here 13. Here I can start from 10 multiplied by 1 over 2. 10 multiplied by 1, 10. Divide by 2. And inside parentheses here, we have 5 plus 13 equal 18. 5 plus 13 equal 18. Then here we have 10 divided by 2. 10 divided by 2 equal 5. Multiply by 18. Now 5 multiplied by 18. 5 multiplied by 18 will be 90. Will be 90. And the unit here, feet squared. Feet squared. Example 4. Find the area of trapezoid. This is the trapezoid here. as you see here, we have the small base B1 equal 4.2 yard, and here the large base equal 7.8 yard, and here we have the height. Here we have the height equal 6 yard. So start from the formula. Start from the formula. Write the formula of the area of the trapezoid. A means area equal 1 over 2 multiplied by the height of the trapezoid multiplied by the sum of the two pieces, small one and the big one, inside the trapezoid. Right. Then you can substitute. We want to solve the area, so write here area. Then here we have half. Here we have 1 over 2. Put right here 1 over 2. Then multiply by the height. The value of the height will be 6. So write here 6. Then between parentheses here, we have P1 plus P2. The value of P1, as you see here, 4.2. So write 4.2 plus. And the value of the P2 will be what? 7.8. So write here 7.8. Now, I can write here 6 multiplied by 1 over 2. 6 times 1 will be 6 over 2. And here, inside the parentheses, I can add 4.2 plus 7.8 will be 12. Will be 12. Now, 6 divided by 2. 6 divided by 2 will be 3. Multiply by 12. 3 multiplied by 12 will be 36. 3 multiplied by 12 will be 36 yard squared. Yard squared. Here we have some videos. When you have free time, you can see these videos. And this is our lesson today. Now, who has a question?
No one.
No one. No one.
It's clear for all?
Not me.
Okay,
Yeah,
طيب.
clear.
What is our lesson today? What we learned today?
Area of
trapezoid. Area of trapezoid.
Area of
Area
trapezoid.
of trapezoid.
What is the what?
Trapezoid.
Great. What is the formula to solve the area of trapezoid?
مستر أنا بقول.
Yes.
A equal 1/2 H multiplied by B1 plus B2.
Great, great, Eliazer. Excellent, excellent. So area A equal 1 over 2 multiplied by the height multiplied by the sum of the pieces. Multiplied by the sum of the pieces. Right. Now we have this video. Show with me now this video.
This is Mrs. Dawson. The following is a real-world example on finding the area of trapezoids. Music. A small platform used for chorus singers is shaped like a trapezoid. Use the figure at the right to find the area of the platform. Let's investigate the trapezoid. A trapezoid has a height, which is the distance between the parallel bases. So in this case, our height is 4 feet. And the bases, the short base is 5 feet, and the longer base is 11 feet. The formula to find the area of a trapezoid is 1/2 times the height times the sum of the bases. Now, notice that I called my bases B sub 1 for base 1 and B sub 2 for base 2. So we'll call this one A and this one B for use in our formula. So the area is 1/2 multiplied by the height. In this case, the height was 4. And then multiplied by the sum of the bases. We have the short base is 5. and the long base as 11. Simplifying, 1/2 of 4 is 2, and the sum of 5 and 11 is 16. So the area of this trapezoidal platform is twice 16, which is 32. So the area of the platform is 32 square feet.
Hello, I'm Mr. Adams. We're going to be doing an area problem. Find the area of the trapezoid at the right. Okay, here we have our trapezoid, we have the height, and we have two separate bases, and we'll talk about those here in a second. We're going to talk about the formula to find the area of a trapezoid. Area of a trapezoid is 1/2 times the height times base 1 plus base 2. Okay, if we come over to our trapezoid, our 8 is going to represent our height, and it doesn't matter which base you call base 1 or base 2. We'll call the 11 base 1, we'll call the 6 base 2. Now we're going to do simple substitution here. So we have area equals 1/2 times the height, which is 8, times the quantity base 1 plus base 2. Base 1 is 11, plus my base 2, which is 6. Now we can go through and simplify this. We'll do our addition first. So I have area equals 1/2 times 8 times 17. And we can go ahead and simplify that. So I have area equals 68 square meters. So the area of the trapezoid, the height of 8, and one of the base is 6, one of the base is 11, is 68 square meters.
In this example here, trapezoid here, as you see, we have base 1 and base 2. You can choose here base 1 or base 2, no problem. In this example, he chose the small base 2 and the big one base 1, no problem. So, and the height here will be 8. So we start from the formula A equal 1/2 multiplied by the height multiplied between parentheses B1 plus B2. Then A equal 1/2, the value of height equal 8, and base 1 equal 11, and base 2 equal 6. Now A equal 1/2 multiplied by the 8, and here 11 plus 6 will be 17. Here 8 multiplied by 1, 8, divide by 2 will be 4. Now 4 multiplied by 17, 4 multiplied by 17 will be 68 meters squared, will be 68 meters squared.
This is Mr. Hardesty. Let's look at a real-world example using area. Land. The shape of a large plot of land resembles a trapezoid. Estimate its area in square meters. The area formula we know for a trapezoid is 1/2 of the height multiplied by the sum of the two bases. We'll use this formula to get a good area for our trapezoid. Now, this trapezoid resembles the landform that we're looking at. It's not perfect, but it's close, and this will give us a pretty good answer for the area of this large plot of land. We'll substitute the values by looking at our polygon. The height is 58 meters, so we'll replace H with 58, and our two bases are 95 and 120 meters. And we can substitute those in for the sum. Now we'll simplify. First we'll take the sum in parentheses. and that sum is 215. And now we'll multiply 1/2, 58, and 215 and get 6,235. So our estimate for this large plot of land would be 6,235 square meters for its area.
Welcome to the McGraw-Hill Personal Tutor. The trapezoid has an area of 175 square centimeters. Find the height. Remember that the area of a trapezoid is 1/2 the product of the height and the sum of the bases. For this example, let's use the related formula. Height equals 2 times the area divided by the sum of the bases to find the height of the trapezoid. We need to find the height, and we know the area is 175. So 2 times 175 divided by the sum of the bases. One base has a length of 15 centimeters, and the other base is 20 centimeters. Simplifying this expression, we get 2 times 175 is 350, divided by 15 plus 20 is 35. And simplifying that gives us 10. So the height of the trapezoid is 10 centimeters. Thank you for using the McGraw-Hill Personal Tutor.
Okay, this is our lesson today. Now let us to take the attendance now. Aliazia here? Aliazia?
Yes, Mr.
Yes. Becca?
Yes.
Rhoda?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Selma? Selma? Absent? Aisha?
Yes, Mr.
Fatima?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes, Mr.
Great. So, what is our lesson today? What we learned today?
Area of trapezoid.
Area of trapezoid.
Of trapezoid, the area of trapezoids. طيب. What is the formula to solve the area?
Mr. I can see it.
Yes.
A equal half times h plus base 1 and base 2.
Excellent. Excellent. So, if we want to solve the area, we need the height, and we need the small base, we need the big base, and we need the big base. So, how many sides inside the trapezoid? How many sides inside the trapezoid?
4.
3 or 4 or 5?
4.
Four sides. Great. So trapezoid is a quadrilateral because has 3 sides. طيب. Inside quadrilaterals, how many pairs sides are parallel?
2.
Excellent. Just two sides, just two opposite sides are parallel. Okay, this is our lesson today. Thank you for your listening. Have a nice day. See you tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Bye.